Yo guys, what's going on? My name is HackingIsFreedom and welcome to the 8th episode of What Was Cut, a series where we take a look at what exactly was cut from our favorite games. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite games of all time, Left 4 Dead 2. I've only played this game on the Xbox 360, so some of the stuff I talk about may appear on the PC version, as I don't have a lot of knowledge or experience playing that version of the game. I know when Left 4 Dead 2 got its final update, I was so excited to play it, but then I found out it wasn't coming out for Xbox and I was so pissed. Anyway, let's grab our cheeseburgers.
I'm gonna be a one-man cheeseburger apocalypse.
And let's get started. Okay, there's a lot of textures left over, so we're going to be going over some of those first. First up, we have a texture sheet of an early version of the defibrillator. This uses the same texture as the medkit, but recolored to yellow with a lightning bolt on it. This next texture sheet is similar to the early defib, but it also has a model to go with it, and this was for getting or giving ammo to someone. It once again uses the same texture as the medkit, but recolored green with a bullet on it. The ammo pack still has code in the game, as well as these texturings indicating how it would have worked. If you try this command, the game recognizes the command as valid, but it just seems to ignore it as nothing spawns. This was later reworked into the ammo pile. This texture was used as a placeholder for the adrenaline shot, as it's labeled EQ Adrenaline. This uses the same texture as the pain pills, but recolored to yellow. All HUD icons at an earlier point in development used a more green, infected type of background. At some point, they were also considering a gray background as well. I personally would have loved to see the green ones in-game, they just look so cool. There's also an early set of survival HUD icons, although not much was changed. There's an early version of Coach's textures supporting a maroon red color. I personally think this looks way better than his standard purple outfit. There's actually another color combo for Coach that goes unused. I show this off later in the video. Ellis has two earlier versions of his textures as well. The one on the left looks more like mechanic wear, supporting the JB's Auto Service logo, while the other is honestly very similar to what Chell wears in Portal, that being a basic white tank top with baggy pants and a sweater tied around their waist. The pump shotgun texture from the original Left 4 Dead sits in the files of Left 4 Dead 2, sad and unused. I'm not really sure why this is here. My only guess is this was used as a reference when creating Left 4 Dead 2's shotgun. Unless Valve had plans to bring back the previous game's weapons when the original campaigns were re-released for Left 4 Dead 2. That would have been sick. There's also an ammo counter for shotgun rounds. I'm not sure if this goes with the previously mentioned shotgun, or if this was just a test to see how ammo counters would have looked in-game. The M79 grenade launcher has 3 unused texture sheets depicting various amounts of blood and wear. Also, the grenade launcher's ammo originally had its own unique model, but only this texture remains. 40mm grenades would have been found around the ammo piles in-game. These didgeridoo textures are not actually in the game's files. However, they were found in the 2018 Left 4 Dead 0 leak. I talk more about this didgeridoo later in the video. In this texture, you can see an earlier version of the baseball bat. The bat was originally metal before getting swapped to the wooden one. This graphic here was used as a placeholder for the title screen before the animated backgrounds depicting the 5 campaigns were completed. Next, we have a ton of leftovers from the original Left 4 Dead, and some of these textures weren't even seen in Left 4 Dead's files, but yet they're here in Left 4 Dead 2's. This first set of icons was the first ever rendition of the HUD icons seen in Left 4 Dead. These files are dated 2007, which would have been in Left 4 Dead's beta stages. This next set is seen in the original Left 4 Dead files, however, they're much higher quality in Left 4 Dead 2's. I'm personally a huge fan of this design. This third set is much closer to release, date-wise, but they're still massively different than Left 4 Dead's final versions. I don't understand why there's a frag grenade icon though, as clearly pipe bombs and Molotovs were already decided on. These are very similar to the ones seen in Left 4 Dead's files as well. And speaking of the final versions, here they are, fully unused and still sitting in Left 4 Dead 2's files. We have early portraits of the original Left 4 Dead Special Infected, and I'm pretty sure these were used as placeholders when Valve was testing the Versus game mode. These are actually higher resolution than the ones seen in Left 4 Dead's files. This image of a tank from the original Left 4 Dead was used in E3 2007 promotional art, however no screenshots or videos exist anymore. Why it's in Left 4 Dead 2's files though, is completely unknown, because this isn't even seen in the original Left 4 Dead's files. Although I do believe it was intended for their early UI when selecting a zombie to play, as the file is labeled as PZ Panel Hulk. PZ stands for Player Zombie, and all of the previous zombie icons I spoke about have the same labeling, with their proper names of course. I talk more about this UI later in the video. Stay tuned. Once again, these two icons appear in 2007 E3 beta footage for the original Left 4 Dead. I'm sure these were just used as placeholders though. The tombstone being for when a player dies, and the headshot one is still unknown. To me, it just seems Valve lazily copied all of Left 4 Dead's code to build up Left 4 Dead 2, judging by the sheer amount of leftovers there are. And to add to the Left 4 Dead leftovers, we have 7 images of concept art all being of the original Special Infected. A lot of them look like the final in-game counterparts, so it seems the devs didn't stray too far away from the concept design. You may be noticing this zombie in the straitjacket and wondering what type of Special Infected that is. It's called a Screamer. Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 were supposed to feature this zombie, but they cut it for whatever reason. The Screamer would have been like the Witch in a way. It would have waited around rather than seek you out like most Special Infected. Once the Screamer spotted you, it would, of course, scream at you and alert a zombie horde. I'm pretty sure this mechanic inspired the screamer from the 2015 game Dying Light. Also, if you didn't know, the Boomer's Horde call, basically when you get puked on, is actually reused from the screamer. And while not necessarily concept art, this image appears when loading into a custom campaign that doesn't have a loading screen assigned, so it's basically another placeholder. Next, we're going to be talking about the few unused weapons still in the game's files. The first weapons I'm going to be showing you are all leftovers from Counter-Strike. The first one being an MP5, the second is the SG-552, third is the Scout Sniper Rifle, fourth is the AWP Sniper Rifle, and the last one is a knife. All of these were made available to all PC players after the 2020 Last Stand community update. However, they were extremely broken prior to that update on Xbox and PC. For example, both sniper rifles reused the hunting rifle sound effects and lacked the muzzle flash. The MP5 reused the silenced Uzi sound effects, and all weapons wouldn't do any damage to any infected unless you brought them to a safe room first. This glitch is extremely common on the Xbox 360. Next up, we have a riot shield, and this was supposed to be used with the baton, or tonfa as some call it. It's nearly complete and can still be used if you mod it back into the game. This was most likely supposed to drop from the riot-looking security zombies in the parish. A didgeridoo is supposed to be used as a melee weapon. All that remains is this untextured, low-poly model. However, with mods, this can be fully restored, which is absolutely awesome. Lastly, there's a model of the M1911, which is the pistol from the original Left 4 Dead, and it's only missing textures. This pistol was my favorite weapon to use in Left 4 Dead, honestly. The sound and damage it did was just phenomenal. You know what else is phenomenal? The maps of Left 4 Dead 2, and that's our next topic. So, the first map we have is called Curling Stadium, and this kind of looks like it was supposed to appear in a section of the Dark Carnival. However, I'm sure it was just used to test physics. This next map is called Tutorial Standards, and it also has a Versus variant. Not much to say about this really, it's just a basic map used for testing. It was pretty fun to play on though. One strange thing you'll see later in this clip is how this campaign uses the Dead Air credits outro. I'm not entirely sure why that's the case. In the Dark Carnival campaign, specifically in the Tunnel of Love, there's an unused path that wraps around the little storage area. I'm not sure if this is an early map design leftover, as there's a safe room arrow up here, or if it's just pathing for the zombies to spawn and come get you, as you can see some zombies climbing over the fence. Also in Dark Carnival, right beside the gates you need to open to get to the safe room is a small unused storage room. This was obviously cut late in development as it's fully textured, has full collision, and surprisingly pills, pipe bombs, and Molotovs have a chance to spawn in here. This map is a prototype of the first and second chapters of the parish. You can see a lot of differences here, and the errors you see are objects that the map is referencing but have been deleted in the game files. Another version of the parish was featured in the E3 demo of Left 4 Dead 2. The biggest differences between these two maps are near the end. The station where you get locked in and have to alert the horde. In the prototype, it's just a basic gray building with fans that I'm assuming were supposed to act like decontamination stations. In the E3 version, it looks a lot more like the final, but special effect can still hit you through the doors, and there's no opening at the top of the building. There's a heavy machine gun right before the same building in the prototype, but the E3 and final versions scrapped this. Lastly, the sound of the siren that plays when running to the bus station was changed quite a bit. Strangely, the prototype sounds more like the final game siren, while the E3 version is completely unique.
Grab a weapon.
You can see many other differences in this video as well, like the charger's original charging animation. All weapon animations are a bit different. and all special infected use their original design from Left 4 Dead. Now let's talk about the unused animations. Sadly, there's only a few. The Hunter was supposed to have a first-person clawing animation that would play when you pinned a survivor. The steps of getting this to work in-game is actually pretty strange. There's oddly an unused downward swing animation for the fire axe, and this was actually seen in E3 demo footage. When using this downward swing, a big slash down a common infected's back or torso would appear. The frying pan also has some unused swinging animations. They're not much different from the final games though. And the last animation involves the M60. For some reason, the M60 has a reload animation attached to it, even though it never needs to be reloaded. It seems to reuse the AK-47's reload animation, most likely as a placeholder. It's time for the unused sounds and voice lines, and there's actually quite a lot of them. In the sense of time, I'll only go over the ones I find interesting. First up, we'll start with Nick's voice lines, and the first two are voice lines indicating you needed to take the monorail to a different part of the Dark Carnival campaign.
Get on the monorail tracks. Let's use the monorail to get over that fence.
These three lines indicate there was a different path to take while getting into the stadium. This seems to be just before you open the ticket booth gates to call the Horde on Chapter 3 of the Dark Carnival.
We can climb this scaffolding. Into the window. Jump into the John.
In the finale of Dark Carnival, these two lines indicate the chopper wouldn't pick you up until the tank was killed. Although, I swear I've heard the second line in-game before.
He can't land until we kill the tank. We kill this tank and we're out of here.
These two lines indicate you needed to restart the burger tank sign.
The sign's out. Somebody restart the sign.
These two lines were supposed to play in a Swamp Fever campaign. Both are of walkways getting destroyed.
Whoa, the walkway broke. We need to try the other walkway.
Lastly for Nick, we have voice lines from a cut ending to The Passing where you would steal the Midnight Rider's tour bus from a garage in order to escape.
There's the tour bus. Get into the garage. Goodbye, Mr. Hippie. Goodbye, my hippie friend. He kept his word. Let's go. Just go. Just go. He isn't coming with us.
This ending sounds very cool, by the way. Next, we have Coach's voice lines, and the first ones are just like Nick's. He has 3 indicating you need to kill the tank before the pilot could land.
Kill the tank so he can land! Kill the tank so he can land! You heard the man, kill the tank!
Also, just like Nick, Coach has some voice lines indicating you need to take the monorail as well.
We need to get on the monorail. Everybody, go, 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 onto the monorail.
And that's sadly all for the one-man cheeseburger apocalypse. My second favorite character, Ellis, sadly only has one unused voice line, and it's for picking up the knife I showed earlier.
Grabbing a bread slicer.
Next up, we have Bill, and all of his unused voice lines have to do with him sacrificing himself at the end of the campaign, The Sacrifice. There's a lot of them, but here are some of my favorites.
My friends are safe. There's nothing you bastards can do to me now. Oh, horseshit. I'll see peace back on Earth if I gotta murder every one of you bastards with my bare goddamn hands. You should have brought more tanks with you. That felt like no time at all. You sons of bitches took everything, but you ain't taking them.
And with all the Survivor voice lines done, let's get on to the miscellaneous sounds. First up, we have this simple tone, and I have absolutely no idea where this was supposed to be used. These next two sounds are labeled as gift drop and gift pick up. Once again, I have no idea where these were supposed to be played. They sound like Half-Life leftovers personally. This sound is also pretty weird. It's labeled as Helpful Event 1, and judging by its name and the sound, it almost sounds like a tutorial tip pop-up, but this is most likely a leftover from Half-Life. Another strange sound labeled as Pickup Miscellaneous 42. This could be another Half-Life leftover. These next 3 sounds I 100% know are leftovers from Half-Life 2. The first one being a charging sound for the HEV suit, and the last 2 are just running loops of the airboat. There's actually a sound for the fire axe breaking, as well as the frying pan breaking. It seems Valve had plans to limit the durability of melee weapons, but scrapped the idea at some point. 2 alternate versions of the car alarm still sits in the game's files. The first one is pretty basic, but with a different tone. And this next one is actually pretty unique. It even has an unknown voice saying, "Step away from the car." To me, it sounds like this alarm was supposed to be used in the first mission of No Mercy, when seeing that cop car that has the alarm on it. I could be wrong though. The intro to the Cold Storage campaign originally had different music before it was changed to the more Left 4 Dead style of sound. Check it out. These next sounds are all unused voice lines from various non-playable characters, starting with a strange one. The chopper pilot from the campaign Dead Air has a single unused voice line, and even stranger, it lacks the radio filter. This was presumably for the ending of Dead Air.
Hot damn! We are out of here!
The chopper pilot in the intro to the No Mercy campaign has quite a lot of unused voice lines. I'm going to be going through these a little bit faster. These first few lines are from the actual introduction.
I'll fly you to the safe zone up north. Here, this should help you out a bit. The military, or what's left of it, has a camp up north. Good to see some smiling faces. Sorry, I can't risk another street landing. I think I may be the last pilot in the city.
I think the last pilot alive in this city is a pretty good one. The next two voice lines are from the finale when the pilot is about to pick you up.
Mercy Hospital, you need to kill any tanks before I can pick you up. No way I can land. I'm gonna have to come in hot next to the pad.
Once again, more indication of you needing to kill a tank before getting rescued. And the final three are for when you actually get rescued and the level is fading out.
I swear, those things can sense hope. And when they do, they have to destroy it.
Saw you get hit. Are you immune? I'm getting really cold.
That last one is very cool. It adds a bit of mystery and uneasiness. Next up, we have some shorter placeholder versions of the military radio chatter from the bridge in the campaign The Parish. These lines were actually recorded by two random Valve employees, which is actually pretty cool.
West Bank clear. Bridge clear. Reports of gunfire on the East Bank. Negative, ETA on repairs, 10 minutes. We have contact from the East Bank. They're using Lieutenant Maverick's radio.
Hurry it up. Bridge detonation begins in 15. You will need to lower the near span to begin. Be careful, the bridge has been breached by infected.
Lastly, for the sounds, our good friend Whitaker has a bunch of voice lines. Like, a lot of them. I couldn't test to see which lines aren't actually used in the game, as there's just so many to go through, but here are some of the ones I don't think I've heard before.
There ain't much time. Grab yourself some guns and come on upstairs. I'll explain on the way. I'll cover you. Go get what I need. Back, you creatures! Sacrifice yourselves if you have to. The cola is that important. Damn, that's a lot of zombies. If they kill you, don't worry. I don't need the cola that bad. Back, you sons of bitches! Let them through! Oh, hell, I regret this agreement already. What a waste of guns. Just a six-pack. I'll go through that in a day. Oh, hell, deal's a deal. Here you are. Much obliged. Now, go screw yourselves. I ain't helping you. Nah, I just want to see the looks on your faces. Here you go. Cola and nuts is a weakness of mine. Though I do not love it so much as I'd be fool enough to die in attempt to procure it. I'd be able to get you to the mall if I wasn't so parched from thirst.
As we come to the end of the video, you know what time it is. Let's talk about the various oddities I couldn't fit anywhere else. First up on the oddity list is the original E3 look of the survivors. This is where you can see that JB's auto service Ella skin I was talking about earlier in full. Coach had a teal and yellow outfit with a tiger or at least some sort of cat on it. And Rochelle honestly looked a lot better in my opinion. She's rocking an orange shirt with a pretty cool hairstyle. You can also see the same hair physics Zoe had, which once again I think looks really good on Rochelle. The character I'm playing as, Nick, didn't change all that much. Nick just has a clean white suit, unlike the dirty one we see in the final game. This zombie UI was used in early versions of the Versus game mode. It would have allowed you to choose the infected type that you want to play as, rather than just being random. This is where those early zombie portraits and tank icon I spoke about earlier were supposed to be used. On the Dark Carnival campaign, specifically in chapters 3 and 4, there's a blacked out zipper ride in the background. It's nearly impossible to see this on both chapters, so I don't really know why it's here. The Desert Eagle, or the Magnum as it's called in-game, has unseen text on its model. It reads 1337 Weapon Industries, Yogi Pone, and underneath that, Made in Shyville can be seen. In the Australian version of Left 4 Dead 2, the cricket bat has a unique texture representing the dates of when Australia won the Ashes. The dates range from 1891 to 2007. Our good friend Whitaker can't normally be seen in-game. However, here's his full model. He shares a very similar appearance to the fallen survivor zombie. This texture is definitely an oddity. This red and black square is labeled as Unknown Shot Border. I have no idea where this was supposed to be used, as it's clearly a placeholder texture. For some reason, there's a bunch of icons left over from the Half-Life Face Poser software. This was obviously used to test the facial animations of the survivors. And lastly, there's a few pictures taken by Valve employees of the first Left 4 Dead's campaign maps. I'm not really sure why these are here, as they don't look any different to the final level designs, but maybe these were used as references for sizing. And that's all I have for Left 4 Dead 2. God, I have so many hours sunk into this game, and I have so many good memories. I loved all the glitches in survival mode, and playing a versus mode with a full lobby is incredibly fun, even to this day. I've even gotten every single achievement legitimately, and the two most pain-in-the-ass ones were definitely still something to prove, and the Violence and Silence achievements. Because like a smart person, I decided to do the Violence and Silence on Expert. Nowadays though, I'm not sure how it is on the PC side, but on the console it seems everyone just plays the game very competitively. If you stray away slightly from your team as a survivor, that's an immediate vote to kick. Just like playing as the tank. If you don't do any damage to any survivors in like 30 seconds, that's another immediate vote to kick. It's ridiculous, honestly. Anyway, if you have a suggestion for the next What Was Cut episode, please feel free to comment down below. I'm currently working on a few fan suggestions, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. I cannot believe I'm almost at 6K subscribers. You guys truly make this possible. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.